It's Reusse Unchained, presented by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. All right, Michael Penix was great in the semifinal. He struggled last night. Jim Harbaugh, the Harbaugh family, who's got it better than us? Pat, what was your take last night?
I think it's terrific that he struggled last night because that means he'll be available at number 11. That if he would have had an outstanding game, you would have had to trade up. Now you can just select him. It's perfect. You have your quarterback of the future at number 11 because anybody. Now this might be good practice for playing against the Vikings, playing for the Vikings and getting hit 20 times, which is what happened last night. It ought to be a learning experience to get hit as much as he got hit by Michigan last night. He obviously was a little flinchy, and they didn't feel like they had time to hold the ball more than like 2 seconds because all little dump offs and stuff with no running game. But yeah, it's great. I'm not changing my opinion on him because of last night. I think now you can get him.
Now you can trade back a few spots, pick up some extra capital, take him at 15. It'd be great.
Yeah, maybe you can get a third rounder by going from 11 to 14 or something like that. It's yeah, I think it's great that he didn't play that well. And I, of course, was rooting for Michigan because I love the enemies of the people when they win, like Jim Harbaugh
I was rooting for him too.
Having been suspended for 6 games this year, 3 at the beginning, 3 at the end, right? Wasn't it?
Yes.
Or 4 at the end? Wasn't he only coached like
3 at the end? Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna lose that coordinator of theirs to somebody else if Harbaugh comes back. If he comes back, a lot of people.
And
think
if he leaves, who takes over? Do they try to keep the culture from within and elevate the coordinator?
Well, they give it to the guy that what's his name? Is it Robin? What's his name? The guy that Sharon, whatever. They give it to the guy that was the interim, I think.
Oh, the guy who dropped F-bombs.
Yeah, that F-bomb guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we love those F-bomb guys. That's why we've changed our opinion on Kevin O'Connell because he swears way more than I thought he did when he was 13-4. But yeah, the best team won, and Penix didn't have a great night. And now you can draft him. What
about J.J. McCarthy? Where are you at on J.J. McCarthy?
I don't like him. I mean, I like him. If I'm in the second half of the draft, I'll take him. But I think he's behind the other 4 guys for sure. And I would take Penix over him. I think Penix throws a better long ball, and he's 23, 20. He's going to be 24. I don't see why that's a problem. I was looking though how little money these number 1 draft choices make after. Yeah. I mean, last year it was the 11th pick was like a total package of $22 million or something. I mean, they don't pay him anything.
Great. That's what, Judd and I have been sitting here. I saw you on Twitter last night too, sparring with the Cousins Crusaders. Like, if you have 2 choices, Cousins for another $40 million, or a rookie that's not as good as Cousins right away, but makes $35 million less, and you get to go spend on the rest of your team.
Yeah, and all the headlines said yesterday, Cousins willing to give a hometown discount. Except if you read the stories, it's, I got to talk to my agent. But, we might do that.
He didn't say that either.
It depends upon what Mike said.
He basically did a great job of dressing up of we'll see. And I think he's looking for term now. I think that's
he said structure. He said the structure. That means guaranteed long term.
He's not coming back. He might come back for 2 at 75 or something total, right? You think? Maybe not.
Well, he might, but what's the point of doing that if you're the Vikings, I guess? To just go crawl your way to 9 wins again? And I don't know.
Yeah, don't they, if you're gonna lose Hunter, which we all assume they're going to now, the way they're, this way, you're gonna lose Hunter. What do you want him back for? What do you go back and go 3-6 at home and go 7-10 again and start building her back up. And I can guarantee you that Jefferson and Addison aren't going to complain about having a rookie with a good arm be their quarterback. They just don't want guys that don't have any idea what they're doing, And
your guy,
they probably take Nick. I'm all in on Nick as the backup, though. I think Nick's great.
It is fun. It is fun.
He's daffy as hell, but he's got a personality, and even if you go to training camp and you don't think Penix is ready, you can play Nick for 4 games to start the year, right? Can't you? I mean, you can wait. You don't have to announce. You don't have to anoint him at mini camp, but I think it's just utterly ridiculous to commit $35 million plus for more than 1 year to Cousins, and I wouldn't do it for 1 year then. So I don't know. He's the Kirk. I was getting blasted last night. Well, drafting Penix would be a disaster. No, it wouldn't. We just had a disaster, boys. You had a disaster. How'd you like it? So
that's the other thing too. It's like people kind of view the Vikings situation this offseason as, boy, you got to be careful because you don't want to lose what you've built here. Like we act like the decision to move on from Kirk Cousins is like the Patriots' decision to move on from Tom Brady 5 years ago. It's like, I don't know. Do we really want to pull the plug on a dynasty here? I'm not sure.
And here is the other thing. We can blame a lot of injuries, and certainly Jefferson losing 7 games was, they won, 5 of them or 6. But anyway, what happened with their offensive line this year is what happens with offensive lines. They get hurt. You lose 2 out of 5 guys every year. Green Bay is going to get Bakhtiari back any day now.
Someday.
He'll be, he's only stolen about $150 million over there, but he'll be back any day now. They get the offensive. They are huge men trying to go out and block people more than they've ever had. They're trying to get them to do more than they've ever had them do, trying to block monsters. And they're always one bad step from pulling something, breaking something, yanking something, and you're going to lose 2 out of every 5 at each year. What happened to their offensive line this year is what happens to offensive lines. You got to, it's just the way it works. And
I mean, we literally sit here every year paying a quarterback 16% of the salary cap, and then complain about why everything else around is a little shorthanded.
Yeah. And people says they've never addressed the offensive line. Well, they've used about 3 number 1s and 3 number 2s, and to try to put it together. And that is probably hard to be sure about whether a guy is going to be. I mean, who was the big guy that was all pro his first year and turned to the left tackle, the big draft choice?
Khalil. The Vikings? Khalil?
Yeah. Yeah, we thought he was going to be, you're set out there for 10 years. And 2 years later, people were running through him because he was a skinny 315. He was too skinny.
Great pizza joint, though.
Yeah, he did. But what I'm saying is it's not the injuries that they had this year. I mean, Cousins and obviously Jefferson, were losing your quarterback is important. How many teams lost their quarterback this year? 12?
Oh, half the league. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Now they're going to have to, but let's see, you can't hit them low and you can't hit them high, and you can't hit them late and you can't hit them early. And what are we going to do? Pretty soon you just can't hit them. Is that what they're going to do with this game? It's, quarterbacks get hurt and linemen get hurt, and that's what happened to the Vikings. So I don't know. It's,
and plus, Pat, they'll never be in a better place to address needs. And so if you're going to take a quarterback, you're drafting 11th.
11th. That's
you're ordinarily drafting 18th or 20th. If you want to go up, you can go up. They're never going to be in a better position. And we went through this too. All of their needs now, if you do bring Kirk back, okay, I'm going to assume that you're not going to take a quarterback in the first round because you're probably going to address an immediate need on defense. You're just going to keep, duct taping this thing together. At some point, you've got to not blow it up, but you certainly have to draft with an eye towards the future instead of thinking that you can save another season in the draft.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm. We think if we don't sign Kirk, we think we're losing some opportunity.
Yeah.
For what? For what? The opportunity to what? Get beat by the New York Giants in the first round with a mediocre quarterback who you made look like Tom Brady reincarnated with mobility. We made that Vikings. They've made more money for Daniel Jones than any player they've ever made money for on their own, right? I mean, Daniel, how would you like to be the poor Giant stuck with that guy at $40 million a year?
And it's like, and as quarterbacks become, I mean, even like JJ McCarthy is super athletic and running around, like running for 30 yards and stuff. Like, go start to look at the athletic ability of quarterbacks. It's I remember the first time that I went from a car with a CD player to a car that like didn't have a CD player, and I was kind of, I don't know, I kind of love my CD player, and the guy at the dealership was like, "Let me introduce you to Bluetooth. You can just connect your phone and play Spotify." It's like, we don't know until you move on from the 36-year-old pretty good pocket passer and try to get into. I mean, you're telling me if the Vikings moved up and drafted Jaden Daniels, this kid from LSU that threw for 4,000 yards, ran for 1,200 yards, 45 touchdowns, like.
And they're also smart enough now not to try to do with them what Washington did with Robert Griffin. They tried to make him the big half of the offense is going to be him running the ball, and he didn't last 2 years. So now, I mean, Josh Allen tries to get hurt because he's crazy and he takes off and runs, but it's not a big part of offenses anymore to make Justin Fields. They tried to make into a guy who would, throw the ball before he ran it. So they're smarter about taking care of mobile quarterbacks, but you can't beat having one. We found that out when Josh was actually running around making some plays. Then, of course, the other teams got smart and made Josh stay in the pocket. He couldn't play. So, it's all of a sudden we now have our verdict on whether we're going to take Michael Penix or not, because he looked bad against a very superior Michigan team, which, by the way, I'd say Washington got off on a bad start last night. Did you guys watch the game?
Yes.
They twice handed off to Edwards, and he ran 70 yards for touchdowns. on just plain old plays. He didn't have to run. He didn't have to break a tackle on either of them. They just ran down the field. They said, they need a little adjustment here on their run defense.
They had like 200 yards rushing in the first half. The other fun highlight of the game, I don't know if you guys saw when they showed at one point one of the executive suites, and it was Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter, and Stephen A. Smith just hanging out in a suite together with a bunch of other random people from Jordan Brand.
How would you like to listen to Stephen A. for 3.5 years? The thing about it is, he could be up there with Jeter and Michael Jordan, and neither of them ever get a word in edgewise. He would be telling them what they did wrong in their careers. So it would be ESPN, boy. They had it on 4 channels last night or something.
Oh yeah, we got the main broadcast, we got the sideline broadcast, we've got the X's and O's,
McAfee, whatever he's doing.
Yep.
Whatever he's
fighting ESPN executives live on the sideline. Yeah.
yeah. It's they got a lot of money invested, that's for sure. But next year, hey, the last four team ever. Big Ten only won 2. What, the first was the Ohio State the first one?
Boy,
there were 10 years.
Well, Ohio State won that one.
Right.
Ohio State won. They've won a couple of them, haven't they? Because they won the one.
No, not in. They only won one of the 14 playoffs, 2014.
But
I don't know when they say 2014 if they're talking about the season or the year. It's like the Super Bowl, but I think it's the year. So I think this was the 10th one. So I think it was the second year with the backup quarterback.
Man, the other thing too is you watch that, and Washington and Michigan are going to play each other on the Big Ten schedule next year because they're coming in. Oregon's coming in. And any hope you had 4 years ago of our Gophers, they 11-2, beating Auburn. Maybe this is the next level, and all of a sudden,
chance to win the national championship. They put out the top 8 next year. They got Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Michigan 3, Ohio State 4, and Oregon 6 or 7. Yeah. And I think, do the Gophers play Oregon? I think they do.
Let's pull their schedule.
I think they do. I'm not sure. That's good. That's the one to look out for in the NIL era. With,
Oregon,
Phil Knight,
because he owns his own company, so he doesn't have to go to the board of directors and say, I'm giving $5 million to the NIL program or $10 million. He just gives them whatever he wants.
We do dodge Oregon, by the way. We dodge Oregon.
We dodge Oregon. We play Washington.
No, we play. Here's the
UCLA, right?
Have fun with this. So North Carolina to start the season, but Drake May is going to have gone to the NFL, so that game's a little more workable. Then you got the Rhode Island Rams and the Nevada Wolfpack. Those are your first 3 games. So
Nevada, by the way, I think Nevada finished last in the Mountain West this year. They were terrible.
Okay, so make some hay, go 3-0, and then you got Iowa at Michigan, USC at UCLA.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Then it goes bye week, Maryland at Illinois at Rutgers off, and then Penn State, Wisconsin. So you don't get Ohio State, you don't get Oregon, you don't get Washington. You don't get Michigan
the bad part about this, though, is you get Southern Cal here and UCLA there. If the other way around, you could beat UCLA at home, but probably not but we get to go to the Rose Bowl for the first time. And
we do. That's all we've asked for, Pat. That's all we've really wanted is to go to the Rose Bowl.
How long is it going to take us to, I don't know, maybe the younger fellas have adjusted to the idea that conferences no longer exist. I mean, it's the Big 18. I just still can't figure out. That's fine with football, but what are they going to do with everybody else? What the schedule for volleyball next year is you play 14 teams once and 3 twice. Are they going to do the same thing in basketball, I wonder, and put everybody in a little pond or something? Is that what they're going to do with men's basketball, too? They don't have a men's basketball schedule. They haven't figured it out. Are you going to play everybody?
I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, football just needs to be a separate thing, right?
Does anybody know what teams are in the Big 12 now? This year. I mean, is BYU in the Big 12
let's play a game. Hold on. Big 12.
Cincinnati in the Big 12.
Does it matter anymore?
Central Florida's in something, but I don't know.
These conferences should have to change their names too. You shouldn't be allowed now to be called the Big 10.
They have 16 teams in the Big 12 now.
Yeah, and they're getting 4 more. They're getting Arizona, Colorado, and Utah, right? They're going to have 20.
Are they going to have 20?
No, they're losing Texas and Oklahoma, though. They're losing Texas and Oklahoma.
To the SEC?
They're going to have 18.
Okay, here's the Big 12. Here's the Big 12. Arizona State, Baylor, BYU, Central Florida, Cincinnati, Colorado, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Utah, West Virginia. That's your new Big 12.
And Cincinnati in there?
Cincinnati's in there, yeah.
Yeah, so they're West Virginia's arch rival in that thing. The best, though, is Cal and Stanford being in the Atlantic coast is my favorite.
That's great.
What are they going to do? What are you going to do financially to have to take your teams out there? Take the
travel budgets
team to North Carolina. God almighty.
It's hilarious, man. I was also looking up last night, too, because I was I had a great pithy tweet ready to send out. Because I know the Gophers have like 7 or 8 claimed national championships, and I was hoping to be able to show that, like, Michigan, Gophers, and somebody. But then you start digging in, and Michigan has 18 claimed national championships going back to the 1800s. Here's my question for you, Pat. All right, so back in the early days, even like before your time, I'm just going to pick a year that the Gophers, like 1904, the Gophers won the national championship. They were 13-0 in 1904. They claimed a national championship.
Was it Walter Camp? Who was it? Who voted us? There was I can't remember who was the voting back then. 1904.
But then they also have like two other teams. Michigan and Pennsylvania also claimed a national title that year.
And by the way, 1904, we might have played Central High School. I know we did in the old days. We played Central High School, and Carleton was a big rival there for a while. And
they have a Wikipedia page for the 1904 Gophers here.
I looked it up the other day.
They played Shattuck in one of the games and beat them 75-0.
Well, I know in 1898, because I used it as the previous biggest embarrassment was for the Gophers was losing to Grinnell in 1898 or something like that. Yeah. But I mean, it's
the Gophers went 13-0.
I don't think we should be allowed to claim anything that was before the forward pass, which didn't come until like 1918. So
you mentioned Grinnell, I think. So they this is great. Someone's got to do the math on this, but the Gophers went 13-0, and they gave up 12 points all season. All 12 points were in a win over Nebraska, 16-12 at Northrop Field. They won the other 12 games by shutouts, including beating Grinnell 146-0.
Wow. And then what year was that?
1904.
6 years. We were getting revenge for the loss in 1898 when we lost to them 16-6, I believe.
Oh, wow.
1898. So I just I just looked up the 1898 schedule. But anyway, I just really can't stir them up much on Twitter because I've been liking to for the second time I sent out the tweet that what a great year for the Wolverines. They kept the jug and won the national championship.
Wow. They're
not taking the bait though this year, so they're not.
Hail to the victors. Hail to the victors.
That's right. So
all right.
Our Wild man. Did Boldy get hurt or not, Judd?
He got hurt. He left. He came back. He
did come back.
He was a no-show though.
Bad game. He was a no. Well,
he didn't do anything.
So who's playing? Who we got? Who's not playing?
Carill's not playing. Brodeen's not playing.
The two best defenders.
Commonville over to Zucker.
Brodeen's back, or Brodeen's not back. Kaprizov's not back. Foligno came back last night. Zuccarello's back.
Scandella? Fires go fly.
That place at the end after that last fourth goal.
I turned it over.
No one was left in that building.
There was 5,000 left when that one ended. You could have gotten to the merchandise tent pretty easy after that one. They were bailing out left and right.
It looked like a tribute to the Herbie Brooks North Stars, Pat. That crowd did, because there ain't nobody there.
And Arizona's next. Are Mr. and Mrs. Zucker now in or Arizona? Is he there now?
They're not together anymore, Pat. Together. You didn't hear?
Oh God, he got sick of listening to her. Okay.
I'm not going to comment on that. But
I was going to make the joke about is he still listening to her, but he isn't. So okay, she was one of the first prominent spokespersons for the team there for a while on Twitter and other accounts. So
not as much anymore.
Bad.
No. She blocked me, so
you know what?
Blocked you.
You guys are all lucky. You know, you've only had one wife. You guys, Judd and you and Declan's maybe gonna hang in there. Maybe Declan and be able to make the same claim.
Maybe not.
Now too. Yeah, it's but you know, two is not bad. You know, that's okay. Good luck, Jason.
My dad went 0 for 2, and I asked him as a kid one time. I said, "Dad, why don't you go on dates?" And he goes, "I don't want to go 0 for 3. I'm going to protect my batting average here."
That's right.
You don't want to strike out 3 times.
No.
Luckily I'm now a tolerant guy. Else I'd be 0 for 2. I'm such a nice fellow.
Oh, you're a peach now, Pat. No question about it. You're a catch.
I didn't say you were.
No, I told you.
You're acting like a.
She convinced me to rent the movie Eileen for $19.95 2 nights ago instead of waiting for it to go down to $3. Right? It was a psychological thriller. It was one of the worst pieces of crap. Even with Anne Hathaway in it, that would have been. I could have used that in the divorce cell. She made me watch Eileen, for God's sake.
Yeah, irrevocable.
$22 probably.
Reusse reviews coming up next. Yeah. That was a piece of crap.
Yes. Oh God, it was terrible. It was even with Anne Hathaway, it was not good. So
yeah.
anyway.
All right. Hey, great relationship discussion there to wrap. Pat, we'll talk to you later this week.
Penix, we should all be happy. We can get him now at number 11. It's great.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, there's Reusse Unchained here on Score North, presented by Josh Arnold.